Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek Podcast here in Indiana with Pat. And gosh, this has been a episode in the making, to say the least.
That's right. You came by about a year ago in your colorful car.
Yeah.
And I waved to you, and I saw all your logos and stuff. I said, I think he'll be back. And you came back later on.
Well, that's pretty accurate. Well, Pat, you want to introduce yourself and your company, your
Sure.
name, a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yeah, my name's Pat Meehan. I'm the dealer manager here at Sturdi-Built Sheds of Haubstadt, Indiana. And I have a partner in Evansville, Todd Jacobs, who is on First Avenue. And Todd and I started a lot in Evansville in 2021, January. And we were on that lot for a year and a half, and then this lot became open. The manager retired, and we took this one as well. I'm just really happy, blessed for this, because it's probably one of the best locations that Sturdi-Built has, and it's a long-term lot. It's been here for a long time, and people know where it is, and it's in this farm community. Just a nice place for me.
Yeah, that's good. One thing we connected on early on is, we were talking about different things. I mean, just all the different things that you've done in your life, recruiting talent and different things. But I remember you called me and you said, "Hey, listen to that podcast, and I like that banjo playing." And I said, "Yeah, thank you. I know Mo will appreciate that over at Union Grove." But you have quite an extensive background yourself in bluegrass.
Yeah, it started in college. My dad and my brother played music, guitar. My dad played guitar, fiddle, mandolin. He wasn't great at any of those things, but he always had the instruments. And we had our first band, I'd say, in the mid-'70s. And since then, I've been in several bands. Had one about 15 years ago. We used to play down at the Rosine Jamboree Barn every Friday night. And I've been playing mandolin for, I guess, about 50 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And you said you don't read music. You play by ear.
No, it's foreign language to me. You could hand me a sheet of music, I can't tell you what key it's in.
How about that?
Or what the first note is. But, I play by ear.
Yeah.
Listen to a song and figure it out. That's just
Who's some of your favorites over the years?
Oh, J.D. Crowe in the New South for sure. J.D. passed away last year. I like Doyle Lawson and Quicksilver. These are old timers that go back to when we were back then. Actually, when we first started playing in Louisville, I was about 22. There was two guys younger than me. They were both about 18 that hung around down there too. It was Vince Gill and Ricky Skaggs. Mm-hmm. And they were just poor guys looking for a start somewhere. But Vince Gill actually introduced our band on the stage for the very first time we played. So
is that right?
that was kind of nice.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, that's cool stories. I always love stuff like that. You a Jimmy Rogers fan? You go back that far?
Oh, yeah. Jimmy Rogers, Flatt and Scruggs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Ralph Stanley. I mean, all the old timers.
Sure.
And all the new musicians, if you look back at their beginnings, they have all that always goes back. Bill Monroe, for sure.
Sure.
The mandolin player and a father of bluegrass music.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had quite the I've been really into documentaries here lately, and I was watching one over music, and it was kind of specific to country music roots and different things, and become a big Mule Skinner blues fan. And
oh, yeah.
It's just neat. It's neat. I don't know.
That's the song that put Bill Monroe on the map, actually. The very first time at Grand Ole Opry, he kicked it off with the Mule Skinner Blues.
Yeah.
And after he did that, I think he was booked for the rest of the year. That got him off to a start.
I would love to have that kind of talent, possess that kind of talent. I always say music is meant to be played or experienced, and I seem to be on the experienced side of things.
Obviously it's a fun thing. It's a God-given gift, just like any other talent that somebody has. But it's fun. I got this front porch on this new office we have here at the lot, and I got a good banjo player buddy in Washington, Indiana, just about half hour away, and we'll probably have some jam sessions out on the front porch.
That's great. I mean, has it ever sold you a building sitting out there picking?
Oh yeah, we've had like open house days with free hot dogs, bluegrass music, and people. And we did sell at our Evansville lot. Red Brush Outdoor, Todd Jacobs, also sells golf carts, Olympus golf carts.
Okay.
And he manufactures industrial vehicles. But the last time we did that, we sold 1 or 2 golf carts and a couple of sheds.
Wow.
From that day.
Very nice. I think people appreciate that. The wholesomeness of the industry is kind of on display in moments like that.
Right.
First time, and I miss it terribly, but one of the first shed shows I went to, they were playing music and just different things like that just kind of the real family feeling atmosphere that I thought was pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
seeing those things. So you've been, but you've been so many things in life. Selling sheds is what you do now here. But tell me a little bit about Pat and growing up and what ultimately you did and how that landed you into the shed game here.
Okay, I mean, I grew up in south end of Louisville. Went to Catholic high school and DeSales High School. I played baseball, went to UK, and tried to play baseball there, but didn't make that cut. But then...
what position did you play?
Pitcher.
Pitcher, okay.
Pitcher.
Awesome.
And all the way through college, when I was 19, I got a job at Wicks Lumber Company, making $2 an hour in a lumber yard. And from 19 to 23... when I graduated, I had worked in 3 stores, worked my way through college working there, did warehouse, lumberyard, sales counter, a little bit of everything, and I ended up, that was my first real career job after college. I was a store manager in the Owensboro store.
Okay.
And that was really fun. The company was over 125 years old, 360 plus stores, and they tried to get too big too fast, and they ended up filing Chapter 11 and ended up closing every store. Kind of broke my heart because I loved working there, but to stay in Owensboro, I took a job with Allstate Insurance, worked for a year, went into management with them as a district manager. Then I got transferred to South Bend, Indiana, where the kids were born in 1985 and 86. And in 87, an opening came up in Evansville, and got transferred to Evansville with Allstate, and we bought a house. And
Hello, Shed Builder. With each new year, builders are searching for ways to increase efficiency and safety. Simply put, the Joey Pivot Lift is an investment into your building crew and your bottom dollar. Manufacturers are able to save hours and dollars by making painting, decking, and roofing a safer and quicker process. The Joey Pivot Lift turns 360 degrees inside of a 50-inch radius and lasts an average 8-hour workday before needing charged. It has a minimum platform height of 61.5 inches, allowing you to reach into areas with ease versus the traditionally used 6-foot ladder. No tripping or falling hazards exist, and no need to climb down and restock. For roofers, simply load your metal on the lift prior to getting started and throw your roofing screws into the built-in tool tray. Pricing is just $8,295 for the 60 series, $9,685 for the 70 series, and $10,675 for the roofing model. For exact pricing that includes tax and delivery to your door, contact the Shed Geek at info@shedgeek.com or dial 618-309-3648. We're raising building standards with Joey Pivot Lift.
still live in that house. It was a new house at one time. Now it's maintenance and repairs, but kids are grown. They have grandkids. But with Allstate, I was here 4 years, and I didn't want to go any farther up in the corporate world. I was tired of it. I was an entrepreneur at heart. And I had always been fascinated with being a headhunter, recruiter, executive recruiter. I call it technical engineering recruiter. And so I started a business with another guy, and in on June 1st, 1991, and this June will be 32 years in that business, and still doing that. But I got led into this shed business. It's kind of a calling in a way. I ran through walls at the recruiting business when my kids were in college, and while I was raising them. But I got kind of burned out and looking for something different to do, but not totally let go of it. And I kept looking for contract recruiter jobs. And then I finally said, why am I doing that? And I wasn't getting any response either. And one night, in the middle of the night, I woke up and prayed, help me find something that I really had fun doing. And the thought just popped in my mind at 1 o'clock in the morning, building materials. So I searched building materials, and one of our competitors had an ad in 2018, and I got hired selling sheds. I learned the shed business there, and I didn't like being an employee, though, and I got 2 years in and got with Todd, and we sourced out Sturdi-Built and been with them ever since.
So some of us just enjoy that freedom, right?
Right. There's something about it. It's just really, really good.
Yeah, I've enjoyed and had some really good and really terrible, bosses along the way. I've had some that I could have worked for forever and some not another day. But I've been my favorite and my worst boss whenever I'm working for myself. So
that's true. And in selling sheds as an employee with the other company, they wanted my sales to be 80% rent to own, which is there's nothing wrong with rent to own. But if somebody wants to pay cash, they wanted us to push toward that rent to own. I didn't like that idea too much. I like to have a relationship with people.
Yeah.
I want to get to know who they are. When they leave here after they buy a shed, I want to say, well, call me when your shed gets in. I want to go over and take a picture of you in front of it. Though that's what it's all about. And people in this little office we're in, I mean, I'm here all day. If I sell 3 sheds in a day, that's a super day on a shed lot, and you know that
sure.
from all the shed dealers you've been around.
Uh-huh.
So you got lots of time to talk to a customer, and you get to know them. Some of them have problems.
Yeah.
And they'll share them with you. And I just think it's God's calling to the most important day of my life is when I took Jesus into my heart as my Lord and Savior. That was 6 years ago when I was 64 years old. So
how about that?
Kind of living out my retirement as a new beginning, actually, and I don't have a date set for retirement. I just like to build the relationships, and when I deal with my candidates and recruiting, it's the same thing. Get to know them. It's not about me, it's about them. It's about their life. It's about what's good for their family.
Man, what a good word. You could take that little snippet right there and that'll preach anywhere in the United States. That's such a good message. And same for me, I think it's my time on the lot and really my time in working at like the jails felt more like a ministry. And really even this, I can't seem to do a good job in spite of all the advice that I get to separate my life, and I guess you would say my ministry. My family's my first ministry.
Sure.
And I can't separate my life and my family's life from my work because I can't, I don't know. People say, well, keep religion out of stuff. You know what I mean? Keep politics out of stuff. And I think, well, I don't know about religion, but I just know what was done for me, the grace that was offered to me. And I know that it's hard not to talk about that in the daily activity of my life.
I agree.
Even if it is selling sheds.
Yeah. But, I mean, really it comes down to two things. It comes down to your worldview and another person's worldview. One person might be a person who believes in Darwin's evolution. The other person might be somebody who believes in traditional or creation by the Bible. And it's okay to talk about what you believe.
Yeah.
You can't tell somebody that you're right, I'm right and you're wrong. but it's okay to say, this is what I believe, and this is why I believe it.
Yeah.
And after that, it's up to them to digest that information and listen to their side of the story.
Our pastor one time said you can't unexperience God once you've experienced God. So, it's hard not to talk about that experience. And, I was here and now I'm here. And the only thing that's different is the grace of God saving me. So he says, it's hard not to talk about that. And really, I talk to so many shed manufacturers or shed dealers, shed haulers that talk about their experience with the customer. Oftentimes, their ministry supersedes the reason for why they're there. Right. It may be, like you said, someone come in and they're having a bad day, but they're looking at a shed, and you find out they just lost a loved one, and they're trying to find a place to store their belongings. And then the next thing you know, that moment turns into an opportunity to pray. Or it turns, right. It turns into an opportunity to witness and have a conversation with.
And that becomes, what you're saying is, it's a daily part of your life. Mm-hmm. And it's not, I always said a career is your job and your family and your friendships and your relationships in every other area of life. And trying to, the best you can to bring people from non-belief to belief, and through the way you act first.
Yeah.
For example,
people buy from people they trust, and I think that sometimes if they kind of you put their spirit at ease with a gentle spirit yourself, I believe that does a lot for sales. So what's your experience been? Your journey, is that kind of a salesperson? Did you have any previous sales experience?
Well, my first W-2 farm was in a factory, Naval Ordnance. They were a manufacturing of missiles and bombs during the Vietnam War, and I had a full-time job in the summer after sophomore year making missiles for the Vietnam War.
Oh, gosh, what an interesting guy you are.
Yeah. My dad knew the HR manager. That helped a little bit, but it was a summer program. And then I drove for my uncle for 3 years, delivering to body shops, paint and body shop supplies. But sales, working my way through college, I learned I could sell lumber. Got somebody come in with a material list. I learned how to figure like material lists for a garage package, those types of things, and I really, really liked it and enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the sales. In insurance, I enjoyed the sales side of it. And in the management side, I enjoyed mentoring the agents to achieve the goals that they needed to achieve to be able to survive in the business for a long term. And so, yeah, I love sales, and Shed it's sales like anything else. It's developing a relationship, providing a need, and price is somewhat important, not always.
Yeah, you can overcome the difference in price with a good sales approach. And you're my favorite type of salesperson because you're a relationship builder. It's the way that I sold too. I would really try to get with the customer on what worked best for them financially. You almost turn into, and you know this from insurance, that it's just a hop away from financial advising. A lot of financial advisors actually incorporate selling insurance into their portfolio. So, and being a Christian, I mean, there's a duty that you have to your fellow man. And for me, some people say the line gets squiggly, and I don't think it does for me. It's just, I'm supposed to help them make the best decision. But what do you do whenever you have to pull back a little bit, whenever you have a young couple come in that might not have the world experience that you have so far? What's your kind of approach with them on getting them into the right unit?
Well, that's a good question, because you can go out sometimes and, hi, how you doing? Shake hands with them or whatever. I always have a brochure in my hand when I walk out, because if they ask me a price, I want to have it there. But if I ask a few questions and they're a little aloof or whatever, and they're looking at this and that, and I see them looking in different directions, but they're not giving me a lot of info, I'll say, you guys are looking right now between yourselves, look around and talk and come in my office when you're ready and ask some questions. They usually come in.
Yeah.
And you give them, basically, they're kind of say, and I'm like that. I used to go look at car lots on Sunday afternoon when they were closed. And that, when you first, some people just don't like being followed around when they first drive into a place. So give them the freedom. And you just sense that. If that's what they need, then you go back to your office and when they come back in, answer their questions. Tell them, one of the biggest closes for me, if it's a cash sale, is we only need 10% down. You just pay the balance when we deliver it. And that usually makes a dent right there. They don't have to pay a whole lot that day.
Yeah.
But give them some time. Let them come in, ask questions, and then start building a relationship.
ShedHub.com is the shed industry's very first two-sided marketplace that allows you, the shed seller, to list your inventory on a site specifically designed for selling sheds. ShedHub establishes more qualified sales leads and helps your customers find you with a simple online search. Shoppers searching where to buy sheds and sheds near me have grown by 200% in the last 2 years. This means even if the buyer wants to visit a sales lot to purchase a shed, their shed buying journey started with a simple Google search. They can actually check out and purchase the shed straight from ShedHub if they prefer to shop online. ShedHub does not charge any commission for sheds you sell. We simply charge the monthly subscription. Your sales commission is still yours to keep. Sheds listed on ShedHub will have first page search results in 91% of cities, or where to buy sheds is searched. For special pricing only available through Shed Geek, simply go to geek.shedhub.com to see the promo codes that allow you to save as much as 50% off the first 12 months of your subscription, and over 75% for companies with multiple sales locations. Sell more sheds using shedhub.com.
What's been maybe one of the surprising things on your journey so far, selling sheds, that you didn't see coming?
Well, there's one that really sticks in my mind. It was with the competitor company. A guy came in and wanted to buy a shed for his mother. He lived in Indianapolis, and I priced him. I gave him a quote on a building, and he said, I'll probably come back over the weekend. And he came back with his wife, so they were in a different building. So I walked out there, and they barely spoke to me. And so I came back, or I said, hey, you guys look around, call in the office when you're ready to talk. And they came in. For some reason, this guy was like, I'm not going to be very friendly today. I could sense it. So I just stayed relaxed and priced the building he was interested in. He said, well, okay, it's for my mom, and if I buy this, it has to be delivered Tuesday. I said, you mean it has to be delivered on a Tuesday? No, it has to be delivered this Tuesday. And I said, well, we make a schedule for our deliveries. Our drivers do that. And he said, well, you can make a phone call and say, if I can't have it, this guy. I said, no. To be honest with you, I don't want to go there with you. Because if it's not there Tuesday, you're going to be on the phone yelling at me. So maybe this isn't the right place.
Yeah.
And then he said, I'll go ahead and write it up.
Interesting. So he thought that. Well, I do remember specifically one fella who purchased a building. It was the owner of a hotel, and tried to really talk me into what was going to happen and explain our process to us. And we didn't really have time in the initial part of the sale for us to take control of that and explain how the process was going to go. I interviewed a guy recently who said, if you can try to find a way to take control of that cycle early on and explain, if this is what's going to happen, we're going to look at these sheds, and then if we come to a deal, I'm going to explain to you how the process works of delivery, and then if we move forward. So he broke it down, and I thought that was really clever to go through the psychology of sales, as he was saying.
Oh yeah, but you do. I mean, there's sometimes you have to just walk away from it because you're not getting cooperation, And usually there's something going on in the person that's not about the shed at all. But if he's not sharing that with you and asking unreasonable things, then don't promise something you can't do. And sometimes it's good to say, well, maybe this just isn't the right place. And I call that a reverse negative. And you just reverse it around and put the monkey back on their back to walk or stay.
Sure.
And he stayed. And probably I've had other situations like that where they walked too.
You, what are some more, other common objections that you see? During COVID, you were selling, and you were probably like everybody else. They were just kind of flying off the sales lot. But in what seems to be a little bit more economic slowdown, a downturn, and not so much money floating around, do you adjust your sales process, your advertising, your marketing strategy, Facebook, whatever it is that you're doing? What do you do that kind of helps generate leads? I don't know. I'm just trying to think off the cuff here of the difference, of then and now.
Got a real specific one for this lot. Our Evansville lot's smaller, and we could put twice as many buildings on here as we already have. It goes way back. We have lots of room. But the rent-to-own business is way down because people are used to living on or buying things through monthly payments. Well, the groceries have gone up 15%. Gasoline's gone up. The utilities have gone way up. And everything else that you buy, clothes for your kids, everything has gone up. They can't afford
insurance. My insurance keeps going up. I need to pick your brain being in insurance before.
I have no idea now. I'll probably need to get a quote. But it's been a long time. But the monthly payment budget just isn't there right now to squeeze another payment in. Repos. I've seen a few lately where they picked up buildings that they only made 2 payments. Picked up one building, they put the down payment down and didn't even make the first payment. So that's an issue. So what we've done here is changed our strategy toward the larger buildings, the garages, the cabins, the tiny homes. And these are cash payers, almost 80% of them are. And cash payers don't really feel a recession.
Yeah.
Or they really don't feel inflation. And our prices are in good shape right now, so that's good. So I'm selling less buildings, but more dollars because
selling bigger.
Yeah. And out here in Gibson County, I'm surrounded by this rural community. Farmers have bigger things, so they need bigger buildings. So
and they adjust for that on their finances typically,
right.
And good write-offs, as well for their business. What's been your favorite thing about selling for Sturdi-Built here? I know I've met Joe, and he's a great guy, great personality, and they just seem to be a really steady company. And I know some of his brothers and just different things like that, and family in the industry. But what's been kind of your favorite thing about it?
The favorite thing is I don't have any frustrations in any area from their side. I mean, when you work for companies, the other company I worked for, the drivers didn't show up for deliveries some days. They were employee drivers, not contract. We've contract drivers here. I have one driver. Actually, best driver I've ever seen. In 3 years, he has not ever brought a shed back to the lot that he couldn't get in. And Joe and those guys are so good to work with. They're owners, they're not bosses. They want you to succeed. Joe comes out here a lot, and if he looks around, he'll bring a truck with a mule on it, and he'll rearrange buildings on the lot. He does that a lot for me. I needed a lock one day on this new office. The keys weren't anywhere in here, and I left it unlocked for the first 2 or 3 days, and came in one day, and there was a lock set on the desk. Joe had already dropped it off from all the way in Kentucky. But he's great to work with on the bigger deals that are complicated, helping me get quotes, helping me work, and making sure we're priced right, not underpriced or overpriced, but still good enough to get the sale. Cooperation, the delivery time. We can deliver a shed in a week off the lot sale. If you buy one on our lot, you can have it in a week or less. If we build the average size shed, we can and deliver from the plant in 2 weeks or less.
Wow. Yeah. No, that's great. One thing we talked about in trying to put this interview together was we was kind of waiting for your new office here to show up. What do you think now that it's here?
Oh, I love it. It's it's right over here. It's a little warm right now. I turned the air conditioner on. I got a remote control in there, but it's a little noisy. I don't want to hit our microphones.
Yeah. Well, you go for it if you want to.
I just love the office, and when someone hits on one of the tiny homes, I'll say my office is basically a tiny home on a smaller scale, but you can come in and get an idea of what a finished building actually looks like with electricity and insulated windows and a nice entry door and a front porch. So it's a great selling tool to the customers, and they feel comfortable coming in here. I get a lot of good comments from them.
Well, beautiful floors. I mean, they did a great job on it. What size is this one here?
It's a 16 by 20, but 4 feet of that 16 is the porch.
Porch, yeah.
So inside it's 12 by 20.
Sure. And you was telling me right off the bat whenever I showed up, because we connect through Facebook or text some back and forth, but you told me, you said, I sold a building over in your state just the other day in Illinois off of this, people seeing this as an example.
That was a tiny home, and it started off in here. They wanted to see a finished building. That was it. They came all the way over here just to see this, and they duplicated pretty much this whole arrangement with a lot more lights than it was a 16 by 40. But, and it's just fun. People come around here from all the surrounding counties because there are lots been here. It used to be called Dino's Yard Barns, and everybody loved Dino, so I love Dino. Dino's name still brings people around.
Nice. Where do you think it's going? What do you see in most of the time? I mean, you're here, selling sheds. That's where it's what you do in your semi-retired world. Are people coming in for traditional storage? Are they coming in for office space, for working at home? Is it storage for their lawnmowers or more tiny homes? Are you seeing a mixture of all these things?
We're seeing those storage things for sure. I mean, that's, I'd say 45-50% of your sales. But I had a chicken coop they brought in the other day. It didn't last a week. Somebody bought that, saw it on the road. Got a dog kennel out there. Only had one other one. It lasted about a week, and a policeman they had a canine dog, bought it from Pike County. And then a lot of ladies want a shed to do a little business they have, a she shed, or a man wants to buy something for his son to do some work in or whatever. Sometimes they want part storage and part relaxation, like the front porch, for example. It's a nice thing to ask your neighbor over and sit out under a porch.
Hello, Shed Builder. Midco is celebrating its 15th year serving you, the Shed Builder, and we couldn't be more excited about serving you in 2023. What started as an opportunity to serve you with top quality steel and fiberglass doors has developed into an opportunity to serve you with many products. Midco offers pre-hung, slab, and overhead garage and roll-up doors, vinyl windows, aluminum shed and playhouse windows, several hardware items such as anchors, coil nails, T-hinges, drip edge, C-bar, hurricane straps, T-handles, barrel bolts, D-handles, and louvered vents, and more. Plus, they have an accessory line of products like board and batten molded shutters, flower boxes, diamond plate ramps, and Mr. Cool mini splits. Thank you, Shed Builder, for 15 years of serving your shed brand. We look forward to 15 more. To receive information on these products and more, call 270-247-7447 or visit midcoproducts.com. Midco Building Products, trusted American craftsmanship.
Play the mandolin, huh?
Play the mandolin or whatever you want to do. But tiny homes are more and more becoming it's one of the things driving that too is the knowledge. There's more knowledge of tiny homes in the public than there were even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But interest rates are going up. New housing starts are down. People aren't leaving their low mortgages. Rents are going sky high. So people are saying, I live in a one-bedroom apartment. I'm paying $1,000 a month. And that's what Evansville basically is. I mean, for $700 a month, you could buy a shell 16 by 40. And if you have some do-it-yourself skills, you could do a rent-to-own for 60 months, and it'd be pretty high interest rate, but it's only 60 months. After that, you own it. You have no rent. That's what's driving it. The rents are going up so high.
Yeah. You feel like, you said you kind of feel like the traditional rent-to-own customer, though, is kind of going down a little.
It's going down because, I could tell on Facebook how much a month. And I want to know who they are because I don't put the rent-to-own price on my ads. I put payment plans available, and it makes people ask.
You find that works better to have a conversation with the customer? Yeah.
Instead of saying, is this available, I like them to say, what's the payment plan on that? And then I'll give them 36, 48, and 60 a month. And then I shoot them my business card and say, stop in and see me. And that business card online where you can send it out to every person that inquires about you, it gives them the address, phone number, and a vision or a kind of envisioning a shed dealer.
Do you feel like how do you stay encouraged with Facebook? You touched on Facebook, and I think about my time selling, and like you talked, is this available? How do you overcome the frustration of spending a lot of time with a customer only to have them, not return your call? They say sales is emotional. It's a transfer of energy. And if you're not careful, your energy gets down because you're here on a bit of an island is the way I would explain it. You're here by yourself each day. So you're only left with yourself to really stay motivated, stay encouraged, and not disappointed in the what we call the be back bus or the be back family. I'll be back. Don't worry. I'll be back. And then how do you stay encouraged?
Well, first of all, I do my recruiting out of here too.
Okay.
I network with other recruiters. I don't want the whole pot anymore. I never made that my first objective. I want to make the deal. I want to place the candidate with the customer as fast as I can so I can get the next assignment from the company. So if I split the deal with another recruiter, they find the candidate, we split the deal. So I talk to recruiters all the time, and I was just curious one day. I was looking through somebody had called me the day before, and I was going through it and finding their number. And I said, well, I'm in the wrong day. And I went back, and I counted the calls, and it was like 38 calls that day. And I have no recollection of having that many phone calls. But so the time goes by pretty quick, actually.
Yeah, well, I could see that, especially if you bring your instruments up here and kind of get lost in.
Yeah, it hasn't been in here yet. I do bring my dog in every once in a while. My golden retriever, he loves it. And if a customer comes in, I just tie him to this leg of the desk, and he can't get. But they love him.
It's usually friendly with the customers. Anytime they see a dog,
friendly.
right?
Yeah, they love dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, where do you think it's going, Pat? What's the future hold for you in the shed world? And you just want to keep doing it and keep. You think it has a long.
It has a really long life ahead. I'd say it started in the about 1980 actually, and it competed against many warehouses. Today, it's going in tons of directions. People have all kinds of uses for sheds. And next Monday, Tennessee Steel Carports is coming in to set up a garage display,
okay,
metal building, and a RV carport and just a small driveway carport. And so we're selling for them now too. And in this community, if you drive around this area, you can see these steel frame metal buildings all over the place. So
just popping up everywhere.
Yeah, so it's a great market for those.
Do you feel like the biggest competition is kind of the mini storage that we've seen for years? When you see 100 of them lined up, you know, I feel like if a customer doesn't come get something to put in their backyard, they're typically going to go there. And I used to always sell on the point of convenience. You know, we can bring that mini unit to your backyard,
Right.
and for a cash price, or we can bring it there for even a rent to own. Whereas if you rent to rent, there's no equity. And,
Right.
in theory, there's no equity in rent to own up until you make the last payment. You acquire ownership.
Right.
But you're moving in that direction that after 36 months, you'll own it. You won't own the unit, and your stuff will move out, and someone else will move their stuff in. And I used to always say, you know, how many times do you rent a unit until the rent supersedes the value of your assets that you're trying to protect in the unit? Whereas if you have a storage shed in your backyard, it'll hold everything. You'll have ownership, and it'll hold everything you want it to, long term. And it's so convenient. It's safe. It's in your backyard. It's convenient.
Yeah, the convenient part is great. I mean, if you need something tonight and it's raining outside, you can get an umbrella, walk out in your backyard, and a flashlight.
That's right.
And get what you want. Or you can drive over to the mini warehouse lot, unlock the key on the gate, drive through there, unlock your building, open it up, get out what you want. And I read some stats on those. Anybody who's had one of those things for 6 years or longer usually don't need the things that are in there anymore. It becomes kind of an obsolete usage.
Yeah.
They keep paying the monthly payment. And the people that come in here and say they have one, they're going to get rid of it. They've told me that. Oh, we cleaned it out and we got lots of room left in our shed because a lot of the stuff we threw away, we don't need it.
Hey Shannon, who is this Cal person I keep hearing about?
Cal, that's actually an affordable software solution for shed manufacturers and dealers. Cal helps streamline your order management, delivery, point of sale, and e-commerce.
What about RTO and RTO Pro?
Yes, on both accounts. Cal handles both in-house and RTO companies with a very easy step-by-step process that produces a web-based contract.
What about my Idea Room configurator?
Cal and Idea Room are seamlessly integrated. Cal is definitely worth checking out. Call Tristan at 425-359-3279 or visit calcanhelp.com. Yeah, it outlives the value as long as you continue to pay rent on it. I have heard some people talk about, you know, in the shed world, maybe just creating the same environment to where there is no payoff. We just bring your unit out there and you pay rent on it, and there is not a rent to own, but rather a rent to rent kind of policy where at some point, if you want to get rid of it, you just give it back.
Yeah, a lot of people like it because, let's just say some guy gets transferred in here with Atlas Van Lines or one of the big companies, and he's on the upward mobility of his company, and he's thinking we might be here 2 to 3 years. A rent to own is pretty good because you can call up and say, we're moving, we don't really need our building, so come and get it, as long as they're caught up on their payments and there's no hassle to come and get it. And unless the realtor finds somebody that wants to pay it off, or let them pay it off, and they can add the value to it, they can get the difference from the buyer. But yeah, there's lots of different convenient factors for that.
Yeah, I feel like what you said earlier, 45-50% of people are still coming in looking for traditional storage. It's typically what they want. How beautiful that we have a industry that can serve the market for people who are looking to minimalize and get into a tiny home. We can provide at least a finished out product that meets some of the international building codes or specs that the state might need. And some companies go full on modular and get certified and different things to be able to provide all the plumbing and different things. I would love to do a show over that at some point. We did one down in Tennessee, with a company that was Hilltop Structures, Dave King. They were, certified modular down in Tennessee. But I'd love to talk to a person in that process that kind of sets the benchmarks for, Evansville's growing, Indiana's growing. They're taking all the Illinois residents over here on the east side of Illinois. Missouri and Wisconsin or Kentucky is taking the rest. So, but I'd like to get into the different states and kind of find maybe someone who could explain that process. In our little town, we have a city council member who's also in construction, and he built a small home, a more economical home to test the theory out in town of something like, I want to say it was around 900 square feet, right. Maybe just under 900 square feet. With the economy for some folks, we're seeing a bigger stretch in class. It's no longer, I don't like the expression lower class or middle or upper class, but rather, what's available financial. And we're seeing a need for that, and the shed industry is servicing that need.
Out on the lot right now, there's at the end is a 16 by 48 utility cabin.
Yeah.
And it's $19,787. Everything on the lot's 5% off right now. But the biggest one we can build and deliver on a truck is 16 by 52.
It's a lot of room.
if somebody wants wider than 16, we can split them down the middle this way. We can build a 12 by 40 and a 12 by 40.
Sure.
Merge them together like a modular home.
Yeah.
And they got a 24 by 40.
It's amazing what sheds have come to, and really I think where they're going with different, just all the different nuances.
Oh, yeah. And it's kind of amazing, too, to me, is the first company I worked with, 100% of their sheds had roofing, fiberglass shingles. We offer both metal and fiberglass, but 99% of the sales here are metal.
Yeah, that's been huge. I've been trying to get into some of the more accessory buildings, interviews, and metal roofing, and that kind of leads you into some of these shed companies manufacturing are getting their own roll formers, already have them, and things like that. So all of one product just kind of complements the next. It seems there's so much. But yeah, it's all very interesting. I love what you do. I follow you on Facebook. So that's, I try to follow along with as many people as I can to kind of watch their journey. I love your, just sense of humor and simplistic approach.
Well, you got to have a sense of humor. Life is fun, too much fun not to laugh every day.
That's right.
And there's always something good to look at if you just look for it. Yeah, I love coming out here every morning. And every day I come here, I think I'm going to have a good sales day.
That's
just
right.
like when I play golf. I'm going to shoot the best game I ever shot, and
there you go. But your attitude, your mindset is key.
The thing of it is, you look forward to it. You're kind of going into an adventure. I wonder what's going to happen today, and it's just fun to take that route.
Jeffrey Gitomer says, celebrate your efforts and not your success. So you keep your mindset right, and you go out and say, I'm going to have the best golf game I ever had, and one day you will have.
Right.
But if you go out with the defeated mindset right out of the gate, you're probably not going to have a good game. You might not have a good day in sales.
And that if you wake up in a bad mood, you shouldn't play golf or come to the sales line.
There you go.
You have to be positive.
Yeah, you have to change the mindset. Do you connect with other dealers? Do you connect with other people in the company, or you know what I mean, to try to create that positive atmosphere.
Before we signed on with a metal building and carport company, I would call, if somebody would call for a carport, I'd call one of the dealers that sells them, and our dealers sell different brands, and talk to them about the pros and cons of selling carports and metal buildings and getting to know them. Had a customer call here yesterday. I didn't recognize his name. He wanted to know about his delivery, and found out he bought it in Otwell, Indiana, lot. So I called the guy in Otwell and introduced myself to him, and he's been over there less than a year as a dealer manager. So.
Well, I hate to do shameless plugs here on my own platform, but if there's ever been a reason for a metal company or a metal provider to want to get in front of shed dealers who listen to the podcast, that's as good as example as any. There are dealers out there looking for providers. A lot of times there are companies looking for providers. So
absolutely. And if you want to learn a little more about that industry, after Monday, I'll have 3 displays on my lot, and you can feel free to take pictures.
I appreciate that. I've sold for a couple different companies, and I'm finding that there's more common ground with the shed dealers wanting to sell those products. And then there's almost a whole conversation about that, play sets, and then, where does loyalty come into the different processes. And I'd like to do some future shows on that, but I definitely want to talk about accessory buildings more. I've really had a hard time deciphering whether to just create a new podcast that kind of caters to that industry. I've talked to a couple others that are in that space, and I'm just kind of sitting back on that, and the sales seminar process, all of that stuff is just kind of fumigating for me, and I'm trying to figure out one thing that I am starting, and I've been mentioning it on a few shows here lately, so I figure I'll mention it today here before we close. But Shed Geek Marketing, probably by the time this airs, it's something that is going to be live and in full swing, and a team behind me to be able to actually navigate the needs. I get a call a lot from folks looking for consultation or direction, and I've given a lot of free dollars away by just sending folks to different places. And I've come to find that I've got a bit of a niche for marketing. I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
I didn't do it on purpose, Pat.
If you're interested in something, you can become a good marketer of it.
I think I'm interested in the podcast, and I think I'm interested in you and other guests like yourself and your stories. And I think that has kind of made me learn other things that have become useful techniques in my own right that I can help others.
Oh yeah, and I've watched lots of your podcasts, and it's educational for me to hear what the dealers did and how they got started.
Sure.
Husband and wife teams,
yeah.
And it's just in their little niche in their community. Every little community has a little bit different niche going on. We do, and one thing these little playhouses. You saw the pink one out there.
Oh yeah.
That gets a lot of attention too.
Sure it does.
Yeah. So,
Well, and you're seeing that expand more on shed lots where they're accessory items and buildings and different products and ways to help their customers, and just added features and benefits and just all these different things. Those things are all interesting to me, and I'm looking to highlight those. And I've spent 2 years building a trust with this industry that I hope.
Well, you're in a good industry, and what you're doing is valuable. And
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
It is. It's valuable. It's valuable to me just to turn my phone off during this period of time and kind of reflect on answering some of the questions you asked me.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Pat, you're as cool as they get. I'll have to get some. I'll see if we can find some YouTube stuff. Have you send me some stuff, or go pick some up and maybe throw in a little bit of that in the episode or something, and people can get to know your personality a little bit more through that. which I think speaks largely on behalf of who you are as a person, a family man, a Christian who loves God and represents his business in that way. I just thank you for what you do. It's cool to meet people like that in the industry.
Well, I appreciate that.
So we'll keep trying to be educational, and we'll keep trying to be entertaining here at the Shed Geek Podcast. 2+ years now moving forward. Can't say enough thanks. This is actually my second trip out. Got my lovely wife, the Geekette, Deanna, with me now. And we're just we're excited. We're empty nesters. My daughter's getting married in a few weeks. My son's graduating, going to college. Yeah. We're just traveling around in the RV, getting to meet shed people.
Fun.
And absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. We want to enjoy life, enjoy our time together, and enjoy getting to meet people. So if you've ever been interested in being on the podcast, even if I haven't asked you, I would certainly love for you to reach out, because I can't wait to interview you, get to know you and your story. And use this content. I can't say enough. Use this content. I'll give you the copy of the show. Chop it up, cut it up, use it in your social media feeds. Hire Shed Geek Marketing. We'll do that for you if nothing else. So I got to get my plugs in where I can get them, Pat. So
there you go.
Listen, we're a fan of prayer here. Would I be asking too much to ask you to pray over the industry and just
I'd be honored to do that.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much.
Okay. Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the gifts that you've given all of us. You provide everything we need, not everything we want. But if we know that you're with us and our heart is given to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, the Son of the one true God, that's really all we need to be contented. Doesn't mean that we won't get blessed with the commissions we make or the other relationships we make. All those are good things that come with anything good that comes from you. And help us to be generous, to always give back to what you've given us, because our skills and our talents are only gifts from you. We don't own them. We're just a vessel that you work through. Pray for all the shed dealers today who are going through a little bit of a strange year on the economic side. We don't know what's going to happen there, but you're always going to be there. So pray this in Jesus' name, and thanks for Shannon and this podcast with Shed Geeks. It's a great blessing for me. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you so much, Pat. Such a calm, cool spirit. I can't say thank you enough.
You're most welcome. My pleasure.
All right.